audience. Since 1976, there have been 1,430 deaths because of the death penalty. 1,255 of those deaths were because of lethal injection. These numbers seem small compared to other statistics of death in this world, but these deaths were not because of natural causes. These people are being punished for a crime they committed and are being killed instead of getting life in prison without parole. So I will be talking about the claims that the death penalty deters crime, how the death penalty fails, how the death penalty is unethical, how the death penalty affects the victim's family, and finally the cost. These are some of the reasons why the death penalty should be abolished. The government thinks that the death penalty is supposed to scare people away from committing horrible crimes. They think it will deter crime, but there is no evidence to support this. In fact, studies show that states with the death penalty actually have a higher murder rate than those with no death penalty. For example, in 2011, there was 18% less murder in no death penalty states than in states with the death penalty. As Dr. Jonathan Groner said, it is very clear that deterrents are not effective in the area of capital punishment. The psychological state of these criminals prevents them from basically having a conscience. They do not care what the consequences are. These people are not in the right state of mind and do not consider any sort of punishment that they may receive because of the crime they committed. Therefore, this does not scare people away from committing a crime. Criminals are going to commit the crime whether there is a death penalty or not. The justice system is not always right with their convictions, so how can we trust the system? So if someone could wrongfully be convicted, why do we have a death penalty that could possibly kill an innocent person? Since 1973, more than 150 people have been released from death row because they were proven innocent. In the years between 1900 and 1992, there were 460 reported cases of innocent people who got the death penalty. But the exact number of innocent people who died because of the death penalty is unknown, and to me that's a scary thought. Even if the crime that was taking place was horrible, it does not mean that the criminal should die. The death penalty should be considered a cruel and unusual punishment, which goes against the 8th Amendment. Despite the fact that death row inmates prefer dying over life in prison, that still doesn't mean it is right. Like the saying, people may say that the death penalty is what the murderer deserves, but it isn't. It's still not ethical to say that. Like, that's just saying like you can't fight fire with fire. So killing someone for killing someone just doesn't make sense. It is unethical for the death penalty to be there, whether or not the criminal deserves it. Like Helen Prejean said, if we believe that murder is wrong and not admissible in our society, then it has to be wrong for everyone and not just individuals, but governments as well. As much as people think that the death penalty is what the family for the victim wants, that is not always true. The family just wants justice, not revenge. The death penalty does not give the closure the family needs. Jim O'Brien, a father of a girl who was murdered, said that the death penalty punishes the families too, and also said that the death penalty is an albatross over the heads of victims' families. He is just one of many family members that believe that the death penalty does not give closure and only brings the family apart. For the most part, the death penalty is not what the family wants. The death penalty could never take the pain of losing a family member. The pain will always be there, whether or not the murderer lives. But it would only add guilt to the family, and all they need is closure. Time would provide the closure, and counseling would also help the families go through the stages of grief. If the death penalty was abolished, the money that could have been used for the death penalty could be put towards the family. Using lethal injection comes with a price significantly more than putting someone in prison for life without parole. Cases with the death penalty cost $1.26 million compared to cases without the death penalty, which cost $740,000. If the court decided against the death penalty, then the money that is saved could be used in a more useful way for the family. The money could be used to provide counseling for the family. Providing counseling for the family could help the family grieve in a better way. 19 states have already abolished the death penalty. Colorado is a state that still continues to have the death penalty. If we want to abolish the death penalty, we have to speak up. The National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty is an organization that is all about abolishing it. This organization offers people to voice their concern about the death penalty. So if everyone who goes on their website and signs a pledge, then they will have more supporters, and having more supporters means they'll have a bigger voice, which can bring change. People can say that the death penalty should be given to someone who deserves it, that if someone commits a crime, they deserve whatever punishment. But I provided reasons why the death penalty should be abolished. There are statistics that show that the death penalty does not deter crime. The death penalty shouldn't be the answer to a crime when the justice system makes mistakes all the time. So if they're making a mistake, then the death penalty can be used to someone who's innocent. The death penalty is unethical. To me, it is a cruel and unusual punishment. Killing someone for killing someone is like fighting fire with fire. The victim's family are seeking justice, not revenge. So it's not right to say that the family wants the criminal to die. And last but not least, the cost. There are other alternatives for punishing the criminal, and numbers show that it is cheaper to give someone life in prison without parole than giving them the death penalty. The death penalty has been around since the 18th century, so people may think it'll never go away, but by using our voices and signing our pledge, we can bring change by abolishing the death penalty for the rest of the 32 states that have it. Thank you.